Rupa Gosvāmī Prabhu, Rupa Gosvāmī, Rupa Gosvāmī Prabhu, Rupa Gosvāmī, Rupa Gosvāmī Prabhu, Rupa Gosvāmī. I think we should switch it back to
Is it back on?
yeah. So the regular, what do you call it?
Internet?
Mobile phone, cell phone signal is working again, so we're going to switch back to that. Do you know how to do it? Do you know?
I think you should get up and do it. I don't want to mess up. Just give us a moment. We're gonna see if this will work.
Because the power keeps cutting on and off, we're going to move our, what do you call that? Inverter battery here very soon. So we won't have that problem anymore. Please forgive us. Here we go. I'm still singing. Yes?
Okay. Okay, hopefully this works, guys.
But we are going to sing a different bhajan this time.
I think quite a few devotees gave up on us, but we're trying.
This has been, I think, the worst of all of the days in the last year that this has been going. Unfortunately, but maybe fortunately, we get the stark remembrance or reminder that we are not the controllers, that really we don't have much power over anything. And here in India, it becomes a little bit more clear, except for lockdown. In the rest of the world, lockdown means lockdown, and here lockdown means as you like. Or you could get hit with a police stick, but you know, it's not a big deal. All right, looks like it's going again, hopefully. Yes, that's the one that's been going for 2 minutes. There we are. Oh, wait. 2 minutes and 27 seconds. Am I playing the drum? I don't know if that's right. Radhe Radhe? Okay, this is India, right. Okay, this is definitely the right one. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to call out to Śrī Nityananda Prabhu for his mercy. Hopefully it continues to flow without interruption. Boro Suker Kabor Gai. Page 164, 164. We're going to do it in the old tune that Agnidev Prabhu recorded. I grew up with that tune. Dandavat Pranam, Dandavat Pranam. Page 164 by Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur. Maybe I shouldn't have said as you like or hit with the police stick. It's as you like and hit with the police stick. Or, if they like as well. Or not. But it's not all over India. Yes, sometimes it is. If there's a serious lockdown and you're told not to go outside and you do, generally they don't have to ask questions. They don't have the same rules here that they do in the rest of the world, or they're not required to follow them the same. So there's a lot of as you like here. Pati Pavana Śrī Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Boro Suker Kabor Gai, Boro Suker Kabor Gai. Boro Suker Kabor Gai, Boro Suker Kabor Gai. Surabhi kunjete namer har kuleche. সুরভি কুঞ্জেতে নামের হাট খুলেছে খোদনিতায় 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 বড় মজার কথা থায় বড় মজার কথা তায় বড় মজার কথা তায় বড় মজার কথা তায় শ্রদ্ধা মূল্যে শুদ্ধ নাম সে হাতেতে বিকায় শ্রদ্ধা মূল্যে শুদ্ধ নাম সে হাতেতে বিকায় যত ভক্ত বৃন্দাবসী যত ভক্ত বৃন্দাবসী যত ভক্ত বৃন্দাবসী যত ভক্ত বৃন্দাবসী অধিকারী দেখে না বেছে দ্বারকাশী অধিকারী দেখে না বেছে দ্বারকাশী যদি নাম কিনবে ভাই যদি নাম কিনবে ভাই যদি নাম কিনবে ভাই যদি নাম কিনবে ভাই আমার সঙ্গে চলো মহাজনের কাছে যাই আমার সঙ্গে চলো মহাজনের কাছে যাই তুমি কিনবে কৃষ্ণ নাম তুমি কিনবে কৃষ্ণ নাম তুমি কিনবে কৃষ্ণ নাম তুমি কিনবে কৃষ্ণ নাম দস্তুরি লইব আমি পূর্ণ হবে কাম দস্তুরি লইব আমি পূর্ণ হবে কাম বড় দয়াল নিত্যানন্দ বড় দয়াল নিত্যানন্দ বড় দয়াল নিত্যানন্দ বড় দয়াল নিত্যানন্দ শ্রদ্ধা মাত্র লয়ে দেন পরম আনন্দ শ্রদ্ধা মাত্র লয়ে দেন পরম আনন্দ একবার দেখলে চোখে জল একবার দেখলে চোখে জল একবার দেখলে চোখে জল একবার দেখলে চোখে জল গৌর বলে নিতাই দেন সকল সম্বল গৌর বলে নিতাই দেন সকল সম্বল দেন শুদ্ধ কৃষ্ণ শিক্ষা দেন শুদ্ধ কৃষ্ণ শিক্ষা দেন শুদ্ধ কৃষ্ণ শিক্ষা দেন শুদ্ধ কৃষ্ণ শিক্ষা জাতি ধন বিদ্যা বল না করে অপেক্ষা জাতি ধন বিদ্যা বল না করে অপেক্ষা অমনি চারে মায়া জাল অমনি চারে মায়া জাল অমনি চারে মায়া জাল অমনি চারে মায়া জাল গৃহে তাকো বনে থাকো না থাকে জঞ্জাল গৃহে তাকো বনে থাকো না থাকে জঞ্জাল আর নাই কো কলির ভয় 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 আচন্দালে দে নাম নিতাই দয়ামো আচন্দালে দে নাম নিতাই দয়ামো ভক্তি বিনোরা কি কই ভক্তি বিনোরা কি কই ভক্তি বিনোরা কি কই ভক্তি বিনোরা কি কই নিতাই চাঁদের চরণ বিনা আর নাহি আশ্রয় নিতাই চাঁদের চরণ বিনা আর নাহি আশ্রয় বড় সুখের কবর গায় বড় সুখের কবর গায় বড় সুখের কবর গায় সুখের কবর গায় সুরভি কুঞ্জেতে নামের হাত খুলেছে সুরভি কুঞ্জেতে নামের হাত খুলেছে কোদনিতায় 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 বড় সুখের কবর গায় বড় সুখের কবর গায় বড় সুখের কবর গায় বড় সুখের কবর গায় বড় সুখে কবর গায় বড় সুখের কবর গায় বড় সুখের কবর গায় বড় সুখের কবর নিতাই হে 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 গৌর হে নিতাই হে গৌর হে নিতাই হে গৌর হে নিতাই হে গৌর হে पतित पावन श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम सचिनंदन गौर हरि की जय Before the program began, a long time before that, Sudevi brought the candles out and she said, I just want to keep them with Thakurji just in case. And look, they're there, they're on, and just in case, which means every time the power cuts, still they have their candles on, which is nice. Now we will sing Bande Vishwambhara Padakamalam, calling out to Sachinandan Gaura Hari, page 339, for his mercy. I didn't chant Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivedānta before Nityananda Prabhu's. So I just said it now. Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam Kandita Kali Yuga Janamalam Samalam Kandita Kali Yuga Janamalam Samalam Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam Saurabhakarshita Nijajana Madhupam Saurabhakarshita Nijajana Madhupam Saurabhakarshita Nijajana Madhupam Saurabhakarshita Nijajana Madhupam Karuna Khandito Viraha Vitapam Karuna Khandito Viraha Vitapam Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam Nashita Hrigato Mayatiniram Nashita Hrigato Mayatiniram Varani Jakantya Jagotamachiram Varani Jakantya Jagotamachiram Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam Shatata Virajita Nirupam Ashubham Satata Virajita Nirupam Ashubham Radha Mohano Kalita Vinobham Radha Mohano Kalita Vinobham Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam Shachinandana Jai Gaura Hari Shachinandana Jai Gaura Hari Jaya Shachinandana Jai Gaura Hari Jai Shachinandana Jai Gaura Hari Gaura Hai 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 Prem Purushottam Shri Satyanandana Gaur Hari Ki Jai. Did you and Sudevi also go on Navadvip Parikrama with Srila Gurudev, Kishori Mohan? I would love to hear, if so, at your convenience. We went on Navadvip Parikrama, but by the time we started going, Srila Gurudev wasn't going out personally as much. A little bit here and there, but he ordered us that if we can come to India at least once a year, then we should do that for Braj Mandal Parikrama, where we would have a full month with him going to all of the places, because we generally couldn't afford for 3 persons to come twice a year. Near the end, we were able to come a little bit more often to India, but with Srila Gurudev, we weren't able to be on the parikrama in Navadvip so much. I remember him at a couple different locations there, but in Vrindavan we were here from 1996, so we went to all of the locations with him. So, but just his presence there, and when we would, also Navadvip Parikrama is a little bit different, because so many people would come from so many different villages around Bengal, thousands and thousands. They had a real schedule for serving prasadam, and also for different kirtans. They had different singers come and do kirtans, and it was a big kind of festival. Yes, and Gurudev didn't speak much in the pandals, and even in the temple, just a little bit, not too much, just a little bit for a few minutes, and then he would have Krishna Das lead kirtans and other persons do kirtans. I mean, there's 20,000 people, so they were keeping everyone quite busy. But in Vrindavan, going around to all of the places of Braj Mandal Parikrama, especially back in the day. Later on, Srila Gurudev would only meet us in Mansarovar and in Surabhi Kund. But previously, he would go everywhere with us. He would stay in those locations where we would stay. even in the same place, Srila Trivikram Maharaj would also come, and he would take us to all of the places and speak the Harikatha of those places to us. And even if he wasn't able to go out, when we would come home, back from the parikrama to the temple, then he would eagerly speak on all of those places to us. It was as if he was with us, but felt like he couldn't speak enough to us, so he was so excited to bring us again on his virtual parikrama, and he would tell us about all of those places again. Yes, he would always take us to Radharaman as well. But in the early days, from early days for us means 1996 onward. In the early days, he would be with us in Talvan, he would be with us in Kumudban, he would be with us in Biharban, Sevakunj, everywhere. Yeah, Udhav Kyari, Barshana, Nandagaon, he was everywhere with us. Govardhan, and he would take us personally to all of these places. Personally means he would be there personally with a group of devotees. I remember in Biharban the first time we went there. Beautiful sands and trees everywhere and tons of cows. Big, massive Goshala there, and they're all wandering through the trees. And Srila Gurudev was there. It was the first time I heard that tune, Krishnadas sang Radha Kunda Tata. And I was just shocked. I'd never heard anything so amazing before. And he sang it very high. Radha Kunda Radha Kunda Tata Kunja Kutira. And I was just amazed to hear it. And then that, what's his name? Rasik Pagal, very famous Pagal Baba of Vrindavan. He sang also a song for Gurudev. I guess he had met him many times before, and he asked also, can I sing one? And I also remembered that song that he sang, something about Mere Kanha Nazar Tohe Lage Jayegi, and the tune was also amazing. Kanha, I can't sing it with the Tampura. Pao me tere nupur baje, pao me tere nupur baje, tere 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 nazar tohe lage jayegi. Like that, something like that. So I remembered it from that time. And then also Srila Trivikram Maharaj, he was singing Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite in that place with tears flowing from his eyes. So, you want to sing that one? Okay, yes, we can. In fact, we will sing it now. Radha Kunda Tata Kunja Kutira Govardhana Parvata Yamuna Tira. Now I can see page 218. It's all about Vrindavan. Interestingly enough, when you go on Navadip Parikrama, it's also all about Vrindavan. They tell us so many pastimes of Vrindavan, and every place that we would go, we're like, it's like we're on Braj Mandal Parikrama. The same stories, the same kathas that you would hear here, you were hearing there, except in different places. They would tell also some of the Gaur Leelas. Did I say 218? I said 218. Okay. And that's in Rag Yaman. Radha Kunda Tata Kunja Kutira Govardhana Parvata Yamuna Tira Radha Kunda Tata Kunja Kutira Govardhana Parvata Yamuna Tira Kushuma Saro Ganga Kusuma Sarovar Manasa Ganga Kalindanandini Vipulataranga Kalindanandini Vipulataranga Mangshivata Gokula Dhira Samira Mangshivata Gokula Dhira Samira Vrindavana Latikavonira Vrindavana Taru Latikavonira Khagamrigakula Malayavata
कहे सुनो कार
suno kano tu ayudipaka hamaro parano tu ayudipaka hamaro parano Radha Kundo Tata Kunja Kutira Govardhano Parvato Jamunotira Radha Kundo Tata Kunja Kutira Govardhano Parvato Jamunotira Radha Kunda Jai Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Jai Shyama Kunda Jaya Radha Kunda Jai Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Jai Shyama Kunda Jayo Giri Raja Jai Govardhana Jai Giri Raja Jai Govardhana Jai Giri Raja Jai Govardhana Jai Giri Raja Jai Govardhana Jaya Vrindavan Dham Jai Vrindavan Dham Jai Vrindavan Dham Jaya Vrindavan Dham Jai Vrindavan Dham Vrindavan Dham Vrindavan Dham Jai Vrindavan Dham Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Radha Kund Shyama Kund Ki Jai You know, most of the people who visit Vrindavan have no idea that without Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and without the 6 Goswamis, they wouldn't even visit here. They wouldn't know anything about it. It was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who personally discovered Radha Kund and Shyama Kund. And our 6 Goswamis, Rup, Sanatan, Bhatta Raghunath, Shrijiv Gopal Bhatt, Das Raghunath, Lokanath Goswami, Bhugarbha Goswami, they rediscovered so many holy places because they had the eyes to see. Mahaprabhu personally instructed them, you go and rediscover the holy places, manifest Vaishnava Shastra, the Granthas, the scriptures of Vaishnavas, and the Katha of all of these holy places. So by their grace, by their mercy, we know about all of these places. They also manifested the temples, the Thakujis of all of these temples. Govindadev, Shri Radha Govindaju, Radha Raman, Radha Shyama Sundar, Radha Damodar, Radha Gokulanand, Radha Gopinath. Who am I missing? Radha Madan Mohan. So many. So they manifested from their hearts, these Thakujis, and then they also manifested their temples. But all of the holy places we go to, we wouldn't know about if it wasn't for them. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was searching everywhere. Where's Radha Kund? Where's Shyama Kund? And everyone's like, we don't know. All the local villagers had no idea. And they said, but look, over there, there's one Gauri Khet, one Kali Khet. Not Kali, but Kali. Gauri means golden field, Khet. And Kali means black field. And there were some swamps there. When Mahaprabhu went there, of course, he experienced ecstatic transformations, realized this is Radha Kund and Shyama Kund. And from that, on the order of Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Das Goswami eventually excavated Radha Kund and Shyama Kund. And also, if it wasn't for our Srila Prabhupada, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedānta Swami Prabhupada, what would we know? When I first came here in 1984, I think I was here 84 to 86, for 2 years in Vrindavan Gurukul. At that time, it was also very, very simple. It's just big forest everywhere. Like behind ISKCON, it's all just big, big forests with 100-foot trees, peacocks, sand, beautiful white sand at Ramanreti, and just cows wandering everywhere. Parikrama Marg was just dust. You couldn't even really travel it, even by rickshaw. It was dust. And you would step in it and it would be poof, very soft. And Loy Bazaar was just like shacks. Just across from ISKCON was Biharilal's lassi stand and Nimbupani stand. There were a few shops there. They were made out of boards, bamboo, and grass. And that was in 1984. And Prabhupada built Krishna Balaram Mandir starting in about 75 and completed it, or maybe a little earlier than that, but completed it around 75, 76. So by him bringing so many people, bringing Vrindavan on the map and making it world famous, it was becoming more and more famous. And then so many people started coming to visit the temple, and then more people were coming, and then other people started building temples, and it became more and more famous. And of course, our Srila Gurudev was inviting hundreds and hundreds, thousands every year to come for Braj Mandal Parikrama. Was taking everyone out on the parikramas. He also used to lead the parikrama for ISKCON. They learned from him. They were going on the parikrama from him. Dinabandhu Prabhu, Lokanath Mahārāja, and others were learning from Gurudev. And they learned about so many of these places and the pastimes of those places from him. So our Srila Gurudev was also bringing it everywhere, bringing Vrindavan to the world and bringing the world to Vrindavan. And so now Vrindavan has become a very popular hotspot tourist location. Anyhow, even if they're just coming for the lassi and the nimbupani and the aloo tikki, still, it may be that they go to any mandir. They might place their head in the dust of Braj. They may take achman. They will have darshan of Yamuna, darshan of Govardhan, darshan of Nidhuvan. Everyone's like, Bihari ji, Nidhuvan, Bihari ji, Nidhuvan. These places are not ordinary. So anyhow, they're being attracted, maybe by the medium of their senses, but that dust has so much power. The dust in Vrindavan is saturated with the bhav of the utkanta, the eagerness of the gopis' mood to serve Krishna. And whether they realize it or not, like today, that dust storm before the rain, it was intense. Sudevi swept the floor, and a minute later she had to sweep the floor again, and then a minute later she had to sweep it again. It was just pouring in. Everywhere was dust. And all of the greatest personalities in all of the universes, Brahma, Narad, Udhav, the four Kumar, everyone is praying for even a particle of that dust. And our Srila Gurudev told all of us once, you are all so fortunate. Not only are you being completely covered outside, but you're being coated inside as well with this dust. Did I say only you sweep it? I also sweep from time to time. But today, Sudevi swept it a few times. Punya may not recognize it, but those who have the eyes to see, they will see it for what it truly is. They will see Shri Vrindavan Dham. Who is it? Emperor Akbar. At that time he had come through. There's a whole history with Sanātana Gosvāmī. And he came through to, he was coming through with all of his soldiers and his horses. And they needed water to drink. And that time it was Kalikate, Gorikate. It was just a field with a little puddle. And they said, you can drink here. And he said, I need to feed water to all of my soldiers and my horses, thousands and thousands. That's not enough. They said it will be enough. And they were completely satisfied. And he acknowledged Sanatana Gosvāmī as a sadhu. He asked Sanatana Gosvāmī once, allow me to do some seva. Sanatana Gosvāmī told him, at Keshi Ghat there's one step that's cracked. If you can fix that. He's like, you don't understand. I have all of the wealth in all of India. I can repair, I can do so much. And he said, no, just that one crack on the steps. And he also gave him the eyes to see it. When he went to look at the step, he realized, in my entire treasury, even if I had 1,000 of these treasures, I could not repair that one. Sanatana Gosvāmī gave him the vision of Chintamani Dham, that he could see that that step was made of the most valuable transcendental gemstones. And Akbar realized, I cannot do anything. So, when we come to Vrindavan, we should learn not to just see with our eyes, but we should learn to see with our ears. Our Srila Prabhupada put a lot of stress on that point. If you're just looking with your eyes, you may see so many material, mundane things. But if you see through your ears, through the medium of hearing the Harikatha, then you might be able to see Vrindavan here. I've told this before, but when I first came to Vrindavan, I was 9 years old, and at that time somehow we woke up the next morning, and then there was a Harinam Sankirtan party going through Loy Bazaar at the time. So my parents went, and it was the first time in my life, suddenly my parents just disappeared. And they just left me out there, and I was like, I'm lost in a foreign land. But everyone was saying Radhe, 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 so it wasn't like being lost in the West, it was being lost in the land of Radhe, Radhe. So it was quite, I didn't say freeing. And then I had to find a toilet. So I was asking everyone, do you have a toilet? Do you have a toilet? And everyone was like, you know how they just point to the next? And I was going to the next shop, the next shop, the next shop, the next shop. And from Loy Bazaar, I was pointed. I went all the way to Madan Mohan Temple. If you know how far that is from Loy Bazaar, that's a long time asking for a toilet. And then I was like, please, I need a toilet. And somebody brought me out behind. And they just pointed to the empty Jamuna floodplains. And they said, everywhere is a toilet. And they said, that's Jamuna. And I said, no, that's not. And they said, yes, it is. I said, no, it's not. I know what Yamuna looks like, because I had heard about Yamuna from Krishna book, from the beautiful explanations given in Krishna book. How she is flowing and she is crystal clear. She has lotus flowers which are blossoming, which are like her hair is standing on end. The trees next to Jamuna are full of fruits, and they're so weighted with sweet, juicy fruits that they're bowing down. The sands are made of valuable gemstones. Swans, and I was seeing what looked like, from my eyes, something else. But I told them, that's not Jamuna. I know what Jamuna looks like. And then, of course, over time, due to mundane ideas and association, I started seeing the false Jamuna instead of the one where I was impressed by the words of Srila Prabhupada, by the words of Krishna book. If we see through the eyes of Shastra, if we see from the words of the pure devotees, from their divine vision, then we will have a different darshan. If we just try to see with our own eyes, if we try to see Krishna with our own eyes, or Sri Guru with our own eyes, or Jamuna or Govardhan or Vrindavan, we may be cheated. We need to see through the eyes of mercy, through the eyes of Harikatha. So it is essential that when one comes to Vrindavan, they don't just come like a tourist. According to our Gurudev and Guru Varga, we should be under guidance of any Vaishnava so that we can see Vrindavan from the true perspective, not from the mundane perspective. Just like in Vrindavan, Radha and Krishna's pastimes are always going on. We just don't have the eyes to see, but those who have the eyes to see can see everywhere. Otherwise, why would Rupa and Sanatan and all of our Goswamis and our Guru Varga be weeping and crying and going from tree to tree, praying there? What pastimes have you seen? Please reveal this in my heart. Please reveal what you've seen last night in my heart. The pastimes are going on. In the same way, in Śrī Navadvip Dham, Gupta Vrindavan, the pastimes of Sachinandan Gaurahari are always going on. But one needs the eyes to see, because the Dham is actually transcendental. It is Krishna's place. Therefore, Krishna, who never leaves Vrindavan, is always performing pastimes in Vrindavan with all of his transcendental associates. Only myself, due to my own blindedness, due to my lack of prem or lack of love and affection, due to my selfish, self-centered nature, I am not capable of seeing that. But someone who has the eyes to see, they're always seeing, because their eyes are smeared with the salve of love. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena sanktakshadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Always seeing within their heart. Yang shyama sundar amachintya gunashvarupam govindam aripurusham tamaham bhajami. They're always seeing the divine form of Shyama Sundar. They are seeing all of Vrindavan and Krishna's beautiful pastimes constantly. Not even having to try to see them. Rather, instead of trying to see them, those pastimes are flooding into them like a waterfall, non-stop. Gurudev said this is Swarasiki Upasana, a constant, non-stop, steady flow of the beautiful pastimes of Krishna. If we're in the association of such persons who are actually seeing the true nature of the Dham, Dhamer Swarup Dekaya, Ebaramai Gorodoya, we pray, O Gurudev, please reveal the Swarup, the real Swarup of the Dham to me. Even Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj was sitting there with Srila Prabhupada in that hut. For 17 days, Prabhupada stayed with him. And Prabhupada would be translating into the night. And Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj said he was there praying to Krishna. Please reveal Prabhupada's Swarup to me. Please reveal Prabhupada's Swarup to me. And he said that for so long, there was no answer, no revelation coming. So he thought perhaps Krishna did not hear his prayer. And then he told the devotees. He said, but he did. And then whenever he would speak about Srila Prabhupada and Prabhupada's Swarup, they would ask him about this and that, and Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj would emphatically say, he is a gopi, like that. So Krishna, by his prayer, revealed the Swarup of Prabhupada to Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj, who emphatically declared he is a gopi. Very interesting. So the divine eyes, they come by prem. And that prem, or Krishna Bhakti, is awakened in the association of sadhus. So we should not just try to see through here, but we should try to see through hearing, through the ears, and not just by hearing. Hearing is not enough. Something else is required. What else is required? Real hearing. Following what we have heard. Acting upon what we have heard. This is the proof of true hearing. When Sudevi says to me again and again and again, Kishori, I asked you, don't just leave your cup there. You should at least put it in the sink and put water in it. Yeah, I heard you. And the fourth time that she says it, she's like, I already told you. And I'm like, when did you tell me? I never heard you. So the first, second, and third time, when I claimed I was hearing, actually I was not really hearing, because the proof of hearing is acting upon the instruction. Srila Bhaktivedānta Bharati Maharaj gave this, a similar example with a child watching television, not listening to his mother who's saying it's time for prasadam. Yeah, I'm coming, just now coming. But he never heard it. And then later when she turns it off and she says, hey, I told you it's time. When did you tell me? I told you 3 times. No, you never told me. He didn't even know that she told him. So this is not hearing. Just letting it go in here and out this side is not real hearing. Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Maharaj said we should let it go in here and into our hearts. We should hold it within our hearts. That's why whenever he would tell Harikatha, he would tell us that give me all of your senses. Means 100% absorption, 100% focus. If something else is necessary to be done in order for us to completely focus 100%, we understand that. But he wanted us to give him all of our senses. to focus completely. And then he would put something in our hearts. Why am I on Sharira Avidya Jal? The page is flipped. Yes, we don't need to see through our eyes here. Our eyes will cheat us. You know the history of Bilva Mangal Thakur. He was a very good, honorable, young, very devout man. He had a beautiful family, and he was doing his service. He was doing his pujas. But over time, due to bad association or due to his material eyes, they fell upon something which created lust in his heart. He began to chase after that, and he would go and visit his object of his lust regularly. One day, it was a big, big storm, worse than today. And that storm created a big flood. The river was overflowing and rushing very, very rapidly. It was raining and thunder and lightning and heavy winds. But he was so desperate to see this object of his lust that he decided to swim across that river in the middle of the night. Swimming across that river, unbeknownst to him, he took shelter of a log, which was actually not a log, but it was a floating dead body. And then to get into her compound, he had to scale the wall. He thought he was climbing up a vine, but he was climbing up a snake. And finally he went to her door. When she opened the door, she said, "What are you doing here at this time?" He said, "I couldn't be without you. I had to see you. I'm desperate. I need you." And she made some offhanded comment. If you even had even a little bit, 10% of this kind of enthusiasm for bhakti and for Krishna, you could achieve perfection in no time. Just like that. And that was his wake-up call. That was his Vartma Pradarshika Guru, the one who's pointing him in the direction. He thought, she's right. What am I doing? So immediately he left that place. And he's written his pranam mantra to her for pointing him in the right direction, which has been placed in the Guru Tattva section of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita as the invocation verse for Guru Tattva, Vartma Pradarshika Guru. Anyhow, he decided to give up everything and come to Vrindavan and do bhajan. But on the way, he saw a beautiful, beautiful creature at the well collecting water. His eyes fell upon her and he could not take away his gaze. He was thinking, what am I doing? But anyhow, he decided to follow her home. He followed her home, and there he was already dressed as a sadhu, but there her husband met him at the door. And they said, "Oh Sadhu ji, how may we serve you?" And he said, "I want to see your wife alone." That's a very strange request from a sadhu, but anyhow, he had respect. So he let him go to see his wife. And then he asked her for something. "Give me your hairpins." She was like, "What? A lady, a very chaste wife, never pulls down her hair in front of other men. Only your husband." He said, "Give me your hairpins." And she was thinking, this is a very strange request. But anyhow, the sadhu is asking, so she took out her hairpins and gave. And immediately he plucked out his eyes. Means he stabbed his eyes with those hairpins. Those eyes which keep deceiving me. Those eyes which keep attracting me, distracting me to all of the beauties of this material world. They are stopping me from progressing on the path of bhakti, devotion to Krishna. Because of this kind of conviction, this kind of do or die conviction, at that point he began crying for Krishna and trying to find his way to Vrindavan, but he was physically blind. But because of that deep dedication and that kind of mood, giving up everything, the most cherished thing, one's own eyes, so that he can be focused on Krishna. A little boy came and said, "I'm going to Vrindavan. Do you need help to get there?" And that little boy was bringing him to Vrindavan. He was actually holding on to a stick or his flute. And as he was walking with him, transcendental emotions were manifesting in his heart. And he was describing the beauty of Krishna in such a way that it was so much nectar to the ears of this little boy. And that is now encapsulated within a beautiful book known as Śrī Krishna Karnamrita. Śrī Krishna Karnamrita is the book of the beautiful prayers that Sri Bilvamangal Thakur composed, glorifying Krishna on the way to Vrindavan as Krishna himself was bringing him to Vrindavan. So he was able to see with divine eyes, but those other eyes, these material eyes, were cheating him. Like Krishna told Arjuna, I now give you divine eyes by which you can see me. He gave him a vision, transcendental vision, divya drishti, transcendental vision. So by these material eyes, we may be easily cheated. But somehow, through the medium of the ears, Shrinvatam svakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridyantasto hyabadrani vidinoti suhrit satam. By hearing the Harikatha of Krishna from the mouth of his pure devotees. Wow, there's another storm happening. Hare Krishna. By hearing that Harikatha, one can develop attraction to Krishna. And from that attraction will come dhyayato vishaya pungsam. Really, that same principle of contemplating the objects, one will develop attachment. From that attraction will come transcendental calm. And from that will come all kinds of divyon mada. Prem will manifest gradually through intense absorption by hearing from that person who has real connection with Krishna. So our process is not just to see with the eyes, but to see by hearing. And Hare Krishna. Can you close it? Because I don't want that to break. This one's going to slam again. This side, this side.
Crazy out there.
That side seems to be a little jammed. Do you think it's going to it'll be okay like that? Yeah.
No.
No. So, is it dusty?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So we might lose connection again. I don't know. So just bear with us. Now we're going to call out to Shri Krishna. Jai Jai Sundarananda Kumar. In a different tune than what you're accustomed to for this bhajan. Wow. A lot of dust.
Yeah, even though it rained. It's really dusty.
Oh, Kurunamai, Radhe Radhe. Good question there. So then how to hear? So how to hear? Real hearing manifests according to depth of relationship. If we want to be able to hear properly, there must be proper honor, respect, regard, and the capacity to receive. And the capacity to receive that Harikatha, that Kripa through the Harikatha, comes by seva. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya, Krishna says. That surrender must be there. But what is that surrender? Srila Gurudev said it's no ordinary thing. Srila Gurudev explained what devotional surrender is. It's not material surrender. All right, I'm done, I'm too tired, I give up, you win. Not like that. Srila Gurudev explained that devotional surrender becomes due to depth of relationship, where you want to give yourself to that person, where you want to please them. It's not a forced thing, it's from the heart, the desire to serve the object of one's affection. This is devotional surrender. Pariprashna, relevant inquiry, asking questions for our own spiritual benefit. And sevaya. Sevaya means to follow the instructions, but it also means to serve that personality. By that seva, that relationship becomes thick. And by that thick relationship, it's not just that the sound is going here, but something is being manifested here. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashita. Transcendental knowledge is awakened in the heart. So from inside and from the katha, both at the same time are working. It's almost like the container is being built inside for the nectar of the Hari Katha to be able to sit. Which means, I'm going to make it a little bit different than a container. Gurudev also said container or pot, but the kunja is being beautifully cleaned and decorated so that Radha and Krishna can come and play there. That's really what Sri Guru is doing. So how to hear? We must endeavor to follow the instructions of Sri Guru, apply those instructions, hear those teachings, share them with others. What is pleasing to Gurudev? If we do that, then Bhakti Sukriti will manifest by the mercy of Gurudev. And as one's Sukriti is increasing, their capacity to do the activities of Bhakti also increases. So for someone who might be what they call a newbie, it might be difficult to chant even one round. But for someone who's practiced chanting 64, if they go down to 48, they feel like they're cheating. I'm so low. How can I do this? I made a vow to chant 64 and I'm chanting 48. And they start condemning themselves. And for someone who has real taste, 64, only 64? I've still got 16 hours left of my day. That's not enough. Let me do more. Gurudev said for so many years he was chanting a minimum of 2 lakhs Harinam every day. 128. And then when he was really, really busy doing seva of this kind or that kind or traveling or whatever, then a minimum 64. For someone who has real taste, then it's like that. So how does one develop the capacity to hear? Because hearing transcendental subject matters is not a function of matter. It is the function of the divine. Then the capacity to hear must also be a function of mercy. So the question is, how do we get mercy to be able to hear? And that is by endeavoring to serve and to develop that relationship by which that platform is built, by which the Harikatha can sit and play, because that Harikatha is non-different from Krishna. Oh, thank you. You should think, I must chant. How much? 1 lakh. If you cannot do this, then, Gurudev is telling, then chant 50,000 names or 32 rounds, not less than that. If you cannot do that, then somehow chant 25 rounds. And if you cannot do that, then go to the ocean and jump in at once. This is from someone who has real taste, no? I was paraphrasing this conversation. Go into the ocean and jump in at once. Then, in another life, you will be able to chant. If you cannot chant this much in this lifetime, then certainly go to the Pacific Ocean or Atlantic Ocean or the English or Irish Channel. If you want to be a devotee, then try to follow all of these regulations. If you're chanting and in the meantime your Gurudev or any high class of devotee comes to give a lecture, what should you do? Should you try to continue your chanting and complete your rounds? Or should you go and hear your Gurudev's lecture? What should you do? You should hear. By hearing, your holy name chanting will be very high class. And you can also complete your rounds. You will be able to do many rounds. So Srila Gurudev put a lot of emphasis on this verse from Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Dharmas vanushtita pungsan vishvakshena katasya notpaded yadiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. All of the activities that one performs, if they do not bring about rati or attraction for hearing Harikatha, the glories of Krishna, vishvakshena katha, if that does not manifest, then they are only considered Shramma eva hi kevalam, so much useless labor. We've talked about this before, so I don't want to get too into the esoterics of it. But Srila Gurudev said even the chanting of lakhs and lakhs and lakhs of Harinam or worshipping thousands of Shalagram Shilas. In other words, if I'm doing so many activities on bhakti, but I'm not developing an attraction for hearing Harikatha from the lips of Krishna's pure devotees, then something is lacking in my practice. Then when I'm doing my practices of chanting, I should be crying and praying for the taste to be able to hear. No, the taste of hearing. To have this rati for Harikatha. I should be crying and praying for that when I'm doing any activity on the path of bhakti, while I'm worshipping my Shalagram Shilas. Thousands of them even, but if I have no attraction for Harikatha, something is lacking in my process. So somehow this is very, very important. And Srila Gurudev made the point again and again, and then he would tell us Harikatha and tell us to be focused and to give him all of our senses, to not let them wander anywhere here or there, but to be completely focused and to drink the nectar of Harikatha. We should remember that all of these things are not, it's not a mundane thing. To be able to see the Dham, really, this is a function of mercy. Divine eyes must be there. To be able to hear Krishna's Harikatha, something must be given. A platform must be given. To have faith is not a material thing. It's not a mundane thing. That's why it is called Paramartik Shraddha, transcendental faith. It is a function of the divine. In fact, it is the first particle of Prem. This Shraddha. It's not a mundane thing, something that I create, in a sense, from my mind and intelligence. Oh, I believe it, yeah, or I don't believe it. It is a function of that mercy. And even humility, Trinarapi Sunichena, is not something that we create from here. It is also a function of grace. Srila Bhaktivedānta Mahārāja explained that. He said, how does one develop humility? In the association of those who are truly humble, who are actually really great. When you see the humility of persons like Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Gurudev, and all of our Guru Varga, and they're really so qualified, then what kind of egoism or pride can I have next to them? And they're feeling themselves so lowly. Then humility develops, seeing their greatness but seeing their humility. As a function of their mercy, we will be able to start to realize and understand or feel ourselves lowly, and humility will manifest. There is a verse in Shastra, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyo. And in that verse it is saying that by all of the study of scriptures, scholastic study, by knowledge of Sanskrit and all of these kinds of things, this is no guarantee that bhakti will manifest in your heart. Simplicity, sincerity, honesty, serving mood. A mood of devotion and humility. This will attract grace to come. And we've seen it again and again, and Gurudev would tell different kathas, different pastimes, where maybe any disciple, I forget his name, but one guru, there was a flood and his ashram was flooding, and he asked his disciple to just stop the water from coming to the ashram. So the disciple went and was searching everywhere for wood or anything to make a slight dam or divert the water around the ashram. He tried for a long time but could not find anything. So he didn't know what to do. He decided to use his own body. So he was laying there. It was very cold, very windy, raining and everything. And he was laying there for a long time, using his body to divert that water. After some time, his guru became very concerned. Where is my disciple? He had a lantern and he went searching everywhere and was calling his name and found him in this situation, lying there, blocking the water from flooding the ashram. It was quite a distance away. And he was in such a situation where he was freezing cold and almost to the point of losing his own life. And his Guruji said, "What have you done? What have you done? Come here, my boy." He picked him up, he embraced him. And in that moment, he placed his hand on his head, and all Tattva Siddhanta, all Shastra, all Gyan, and everything manifested in his heart in a moment by his selfless, dedicated service. So our Gurudev would frequently ask this question: what university did Hanuman go to? What university did Haridas Thakur go to? Qualification is not dependent on what university one goes to. Qualification is dependent on one's feeling of humility and their feeling of seva. The honor that one is giving and the dedication. And Baladev Prabhu in one moment placed his hand on the head of Ugra Shravasuta and Tatashtu, let it be, all Tattva Siddhanta, all Shastra, Gyan, Bhagavatam, everything was manifested in his heart in a moment. And he told him, "You speak." And that person we have heard from in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, his name is Suta Goswami. One moment it can be. Even if one has no knowledge, no anything, they don't know how to read, they don't know how to write, they don't know Sanskrit, this or that, but their desire is sincere. And they are humble, and they are making that endeavor really to cry for mercy. And you see, look, Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj couldn't write his own name, couldn't read. But he's the guru of the most brilliant mind this world has ever known, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, who had to throw out all of his previous concepts, his previous learning and all of that, to accept the shelter of this Rasik, Bhavuk, Uttam, Bhagavat, eternal associate of Radha and Krishna. So all of one's material learning, millions of lifetimes of all kinds of good deeds even, this will not give one the qualification for Krishna Bhakti Rasa. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Yarikitopi Labhyate Tatra Lolyam Apimulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Shukritayar Na Labhyate. Janma Koti Shukritayar. Millions of lifetimes, Janma Koti Shukritayar, of doing good things. Things in the mode of goodness, philanthropic activities, feeding the poor, clothing, giving free health care, and this and that, and all kinds of good things in this world. This will not give one 1 ounce of qualification for Krishna Bhakti Rasa. The root, the only qualification for Krishna Bhakti Rasa is the intense, greedy desire to have it. That is obsession. And where does that obsession manifest? This is the question. By hearing the Harikatha from the lips of the pure devotees. The root cause of that obsession, that intense greedy desire for Krishna Bhakti Rasa manifesting in the heart, is sadhu sangha. Any jiva who's wandering from universe to universe, from planet to planet, taking birth millions and millions of times in all different species of life, by the greatest fortune, the mercy of the Lord, receives Sri Guru in his life. And by the mercy of Sri Guru, by the power of that Harikatha, Bhakti Lata Bij, means bhakti begins to manifest. What is that? That is the tendency or the inclination to serve Krishna awakens in the heart and begins to increase more and more. This is known as Krishna Seva Vasanam. So by hearing Harikatha from the lips of Sri Guru, then this tendency, not just Sri Guru. Sri Guru also means Sadhu Guru or Vaishnavas, Shiksha Gurus. So Sri Guru means all Sri Gurus. By hearing from them with regard, faith, honor, and a mood of seva, with relationship, with sincerity, with honesty, with humility, then this mood will develop in the heart. And as this is increasing, the capacity to hear will also increase. What did I say we're going to sing? Jai Jai Sundar Nanda Kumar? Sudevi is reminding me I wanted to finish Damodarāṣṭakam. Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar, 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 Saurabha Sankata Vrindavana Tato, Saurabha Sankata Vrindavana Tato, Saurabha Sankata Vrindavana Tato, Saurabha Sankata Vrindavana Tato, Vihita Vasanta Viharo, Vihita Vasanta Viharo, Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar, Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar, Abhinava Kutmala Ducha Samujvana, Abhinava Kutmala Ducha Samujvana, Kunchita Kuntala Bharo, Kunchita Kuntala Bharo, Pranayi Janerita Chandana Sahakrita, Pranayi Janerita Chandana Sahakrita, Churni Tabara Ghana Saro, Churni Tabara Ghana Saro, Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar, Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar, Chatuladriganchala Rachita Rasochara, Chatuladriganchala Rachita Rasochara, Radha Madana Vikaro, Radha Madana Vikaro, Bhuvana Vimohana Manjula Nartana, Bhuvana Vimohana Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar. Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar. Adhara Virajita Mandatara Smita. Adhara Virajita Mandatara Smita. Lobhita Nija Parivaro. Lobhita Nija Parivaro. Nija Vallabha Jana Suhrit Sanatana. Nija Vallabha Jana Suhrit Sanatana. Chita Vihara Davataro. Chita Vihara Davataro. Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar. 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 Nanda Nanda Jaya Yashoda Nanda. Nanda Nanda Jaya Yashoda Nanda. Jaya Nanda Nanda Jaya Yashoda Nanda. Nanda Nanda Jaya Yashoda Nanda. Krishna Hai, 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 Krishna Hai. Shri Krishna Kanhaiya Lal Ki Jai. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Page 341. By Śrīla Rupa Gosvāmī Par 341. Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. O Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. O Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Taruni Mandalo Mahite. Gokula Taruni Mandalo Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. O Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Damodarāṣṭakam Vardhano Veshe Harinishkuta Vrindavipineshe. Damodarāṣṭakam Vardhano Veshe Harinishkuta Vrindavipineshe. Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Rishabhanudadhi Navashachi Lekhe Lalita Sokhi Guna Ramita Vishakhe Rishabhanudadhi Navashachi Lekhe Lalita Sokhi Guna Ramita Vishakhe Jayo Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Jayo Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Karuna Gurumayi Karuna Bharite Sannaka Sanatana Varnita Charite Karuna Gurumayi Karuna Bharite Sannaka Sanatana Varnita Charite Jayo Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate O Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate 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 Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Radhe He Krishna He O Radhe He Krishna He Radhe He Krishna He Radhe He Krishna He Shri Vrishabhanandani Srimati Radha Rani Ki Jai Shri Krishna Kanhai Lal Ki Jai Page 290 Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam All together. Thank you, Rudra Prabhu and Sudevi. Shri Radha Vino Bihari Ju Shachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Shri Giriraj Mahārāja Ki Jai. Shri Shalagram Shila Ki Jai. Laddu Gopal Chattu Laddu Gopal Ki Jai. Shri Yashoda Damodar Ki Jai. Can you see that? And Devaki, I believe it's the one we grew up with. Namamishwaram Sachit Anandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashodabhiyolukhaladhavamanam Paramrishnam Atyantato Nrutya Gopya Rudantam Muhurnetra युग्मं मृजन्तं कराम्भोज युग्मेन शातङ्कनेत्रम् मुहुश्वासकम्पत्रिरेखाङ्ककण्ठ स्थितग्रैव दामोदरं भक्तिवधम् इति दृक्ष्वलीलाभि आनन्दकुम्भे स्वघोषमिमजन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम् तदीयेषु भक्तर्जितत्वं तु न प्रेम तस्तं शतावृत्तिवन्दे परं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा गच्छान्यं वृन्देऽहं वरेशादपीह इदं ते वपुर्नाथो गोपालबालं सदा मे मनस्याविराष्टां किमन्ये इदं ते मुखं भोजम् अव्यक्तनीलये कृतं कुण्डलैः स्निग्धरक्तैश्च गोप्या मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्ब रक्ताधरं मे मनस्याभिरास्ताम् अलं लक्षलाभये नमो देव दामोदरानन्तविश्व प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजालाभिमग्नम् कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्याति दीनं बतानु गृहाणेश मामज्ञं मेध्यक्षिदृश्य कुबेरात्मजो वध मूर्त्यैव यद्वा त्वयामुचितो भक्तिभाजो कृतो च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकाम्ये प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेष्टि दामोदरेह नमस्ते स्तुदाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिधाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायाथो विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यं नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यं नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यं राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर जय राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधे जय राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधे श्री राधा दामोदर जू की जय श्री दामोदराष्टकम की Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Shri Shinitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo Shri Gurudev Ki Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Rupanuga Gauri Guru Varga Ki Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Can you open the windows now? Or is it still windy? Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Nama Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Namine Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Swāminiti Namine Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Giring Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurung Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandavat Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad, Ashto Tarashati Shri Śrīmad Shri Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And the same thousands of Dandavat Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad, Ashto Tarashati Shri Śrīmad Shri Bhaktivedānta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada, and to all of our Gaudiya Rupanuga Guru Varga, and to all Vaishnavas past, present, and future, including all of those who are present with us today, I offer my Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, dear Vaishnavas. Radhe Radhe, Radhe Shyam.
Radhe Shyam. So we are continuing with Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam by Śrī Satyavrata Muni. This has been placed in Padma Purana by Vedyas, commented on, this version by Śrī Sanātana Gosvāmī Pad, followed by the commentary of our Param Gurudev, then the commentary of our Śrīla Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Needless to say, it is an endless treasure within a treasure. So many treasures in different beautiful compartments. Before entering into this beautiful treasure, we've got only a few minutes remaining, but we are beginning the commentary of our Śrīla Gurudev Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja on the last and final verse of Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, the 8th verse. So before entering into that, or into this transcendental treasure, we will pray in the dust of the lotus feet of these divine personalities in the words of Śrī Raghunath Das Goswami, Vairāga Juga Bhakti Rasam Prayatnai, Apayanan Mam Anubhipshamandam, Kripam Budirya Paraduka Duki, Sanatanastam Prabhum Ashrayami, begging in the dust of that lotus feet that may even a particle of their moods which are present within these pages, manifest itself within our hearts. Now we are within the 8th verse. Namaste Studamne Spuradipti Dhamne Tvadiyodrayato Vishwasya Dhamne Namo Radhikaye Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Radhikaye Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Nantalilayo Devaya Tubhyam. So now our Śrīla Gurudev is continuing his commentary on the commentary of his Gurudev and the commentary of Sanatana Gosvāmī Pad on this verse. And his commentary is always full of rasa and bhav. As Śrī Satyavrata Muni was offering prayers to Śrī Dāmodara Krishna, he considered, in order to please Śrī Dāmodara Krishna, I must first please his associates, and especially his most beloved Srimati Radhika. If I please her, I will easily attain the mercy of Śrī Dāmodara Krishna. Srila Prabhupada also tells us that. How great is Srimati Radharani? If you try to go to Krishna directly, he may or may not hear you. But if you go to her and beg for her mercy, then she will engage you in the service of Krishna. With this consideration in mind, the sage proceeded to offer his respects to Srimati Radhika with the words, Namo Radhikaye Tvadiya Priyaye. In the 5th verse, in the course of Śrī Satyavrata Muni's prayer, we notice an escalation in his mood of deep longing. Start noticing more and more of this Raganuga Bhakti manifest, the spontaneous mood of longing and love and affection. The escalation of this mood culminates in this verse, the 8th verse, Namo Radhikaye Tvadiya Priyaye, in which he prays to Srimati Radhika with wholehearted devotion for the perfection of his cherished goal. Following his example, the Raganuga Sadhaka, after determining his cherished goal, should engage his time in praying, remembering, and worshipping Sri Bhagavan, along with those associates of his who have the same sort of love for Sri Krishna as she longs to attain. This is important, to be under the guidance of, the specific guidance of that specific kind of personality who has that same kind of loving service that our Atma also has within it, that we are longing to awaken within our hearts. So eventually, let's say we're associating with so many different kinds of devotees. Generally, devotees of Ram, devotees of Jagannath, devotees of Narasingha, devotees of Gopal, devotees of so many different aspects of the Lord, Nārāyaṇa, devotees of so many different aspects of the Lord. But eventually, if we really become sincere, we will have to become exclusive. Exclusive means, all others aside, I must focus one-pointedly on my particular Ishtadev. Means the particular object of my love and affection, whom I will serve eternally. How do we know that? How can we find that out? How can we discover that? Any qualified Sri Guru, and I'm using the word qualified very intentionally here, qualified Sri Guru, who is endowed with Shri, who is carrying the beauty of Srimati Radhika's love and affection for Krishna, Shobha, who is carrying that. In other words, Unatojvalarasang Svabhakti Shriyam. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, you can tell what that means. For those who are qualified, who are Tattvadarshi, meaning that they see Krishna, they know Krishna, they are practically engaged in their relationship with Krishna, they are eternal associates of Krishna. Because they know Krishna and can see Krishna, they know everything. Therefore, they can see beyond all of our layers, directly to our Atma, recognize the intrinsic, inherent, constitutional, specific serving nature of that Atma, direct us toward our particular goal with the particular sadhana or practice that is necessary to attain that particular goal. And in the association of that kind of personality who has that same kind of goal that our Atma is craving by its own nature, then that Atma can progress and awaken its eternal divine love for Krishna. Spontaneous, loving affection. So here, Srila Gurudev is saying that this escalation of this mood culminates in this verse for him. So following his example, the Raganuga Sadhaka. So Raganuga includes within it Rupanuga, but not all Raganugas are Rupanugas, but all Rupanugas are Raganugas. So Raganuga is the whole gamut of eternal associates. They are Ragatmik, and Raganuga means following any Ragatmik eternal associate of Krishna. Rupanuga is a specific term meaning following Rupa Gosvāmī in this world and Rupa Manjari in that transcendental realm. That kind of loving service. So here, Gurudev is saying, for us, the Raganuga Sadhaka, we're praying to enter into that mood of spontaneous loving devotion. After determining one's cherished goal, they should engage their time in praying, remembering, and worshipping Bhagavan along with those associates of his who have the same sort of love for Sri Krishna as he longs to attain. Therefore, it is said in the scriptures, Krishna, this is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 12294, Krishna smaram janam chasya preshtam nija samihitam tat tat kataratash chaso kuryad vasam vrajay sada. The devotee should constantly remember Sri Krishna along with Sri Krishna's dearmost associates whom he chooses to follow. While permanently living in Braj, he should become attached to always hearing the narration of their pastimes with Sri Krishna. Now, mind you, some people take this out of context. Oh, it's my choice, whom he chooses to follow. What you desire. Why are we choosing to follow? For my own pleasure? Or is it for Krishna? Do I want to be a cowherd boy so I can enjoy? Do I want to be a gopi so I can enjoy? Or am I approaching for Krishna's pleasure? So whom one chooses to follow, this is also in a sense ordained. Krishna manifests in all of these different forms. As Gurudev said again and again and again, same wine, the same substance in a different form. Same wine, new bottle. So this Harikatha is manifesting through this transparent medium. Transparent would be like if you're looking through a pipe, there's nothing blocking it. So that nectar will flow through it with nothing blocking it. No contamination, no pollution, anything. Shri Guru is like that. If you turn on the tap in any room in the house, or you plug into the electricity, it's all coming from the same source. The same flow is coming through many different outlets. So, whom one chooses to follow, this can also be directed by Krishna, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, for one who wants to attain me, for one who's constantly serving with love and devotion, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami, I give buddhi yogam tam, the intelligence or the understanding, yenamam upayantite, by which they can attain to me. So Krishna makes the arrangement if one wants to love and serve him. So this is our preliminary qualification. Somehow or other awaken that desire by the association of sadhus. And then Krishna will direct one, will arrange the appropriate and necessary sadhu sangha for us to be able to progress. So it's not like, oh yeah, I'm going to choose you and I'm going to choose you. Picking and choosing like, when you go to the fair and you've got some change and you put it in the machine and then you choose which stuffed animal you want to pick or something. Or you go to the mobile phone shop and choose which one. It's not like that. It's not like a picking and choosing from a plethora of gurus. Shri Guru manifest according to the necessity of the individual jiva. And then as Guru is accepting, that disciple is also accepting. And that connection is made. So you can call this a choice. There is a choice. But in another sense, it's not like gumdrops or something. This is Shri Guru, which is manifested. The form of Krishna's mercy descending in your life. And some people claim that because we are said to be the chooser, that we also get to choose what relationship we're in Krishna Loka. You choose, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to be this. But our Guru Varga have very firmly established, from our Param Gurudev, our Gurudev, Śrīla Prabhupada, Śrīla Gauragovinda Maharaj, Śrīla Sridhar Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, all of his disciples, and Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Thakur, and all of our Guru Varga, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, you name them, all of them. They're very firmly establishing this point that it is already inherent within us, like a seed. What is inside? An orange. Well, you got an orange seed. What kind of tree will an orange seed make? This is the question of the day. What kind of tree will an orange seed make if you plant it? You are. You get a glass of orange juice. What kind of tree will an apple seed make if you plant it? If you get this right, you get a glass of apple juice. What kind of tree? Really? Grapes? If you plant a grape seed, what kind of plant or tree will you get? And you get a glass of grape juice if you answer this correctly. There we go. We got orange, apple. It's clear. So our Param Gurudev, Śrīla Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Mahārāja, Śrīla Bhakti Rakshak Śrī Mahārāja, and especially our Gurudev emphasized this point over and over and over again to drill it in. Apparently Gurudev knew that someone after he left would try to change this, but he really wanted to impress this within the disciples. To change the idea, from what he was teaching. So this concept is essential to understand. What is already in the Atma? It's like our spiritual DNA. If every snowflake can be unique, how can every Atma not be unique? There's a reason why each Atma is unique, each Jivatma. Because Krishna likes variety. And every Atma has its own particular flavors of loving service to Krishna. If it was all one, he'd be bored. That's why Bahu Kanta Bina Nahe Rasera Ulas. Without many kantas, Ras cannot attain to its highest peak. Krishna manifests from his own heart, Srimati Radhika, who manifests unlimited gopis. And from the other side, he manifests Baladev Prabhu, who manifests unlimited forms. And all unlimited jivas also, who each one has within themselves a particular nature. Jivera Surupahoy Krishner Nityadas, the foundational nature that they are all servants of Krishna, and the specific individual intrinsic nature, which is already eternally inherent within them, as Srila Prabhupada writes. If anyone can post that, maybe Jiva Pavana Prabhu, is desiring or having greed for Radha Dasyam wrong? No. It's not wrong. If you have that desire, what? So there is something interesting. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this world to give Krishna Prem. And there's so many different kinds of Krishna Prem, but what kind was he experiencing? Radha Bhav. Can everyone experience Radha Bhav? No, that's hers. What can they experience? A semblance of that. The beauty of that. The nectar sprinkles of that. The vapor of that. The shobha of that. And that, in this world, is the mood of the Rupanuga Guru Varga. That is Unnatojvala Rasang Swa Bhakti Shriyam. That mood of which Rupa Goswami is serving here and also serving in Radha and Krishna Leela. There he is not Rupa Goswami, there he is Shri Rupa Manjari. And we pray Shri Rupa Manjari Parasayam or Sampara. Praying for that. So Srila Gurudev told in Paderborn, Germany, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. He told, and he told it in many, many locations actually. He said the fact that you've come here to this line, that you have a spontaneous, natural attraction to these conceptions that you're hearing from Rupa Goswami in the line of from Mahaprabhu, Krishna, Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami, and through our Guru Varga. He said it's 99.9% that you have that intrinsic mood within your heart. Maybe one or two might be of other rasas. But 99.9%, he said you would have this mood already inherent within your Atma. He said, otherwise you would naturally go to any other sampradaya. If somehow you're attracted to hearing in the line of Rupa Goswami, this is a very strong indication of your inherent swarup. And yet, one can have that desire, no problem. Lakshmi Devi has a desire to enter Rasalila, and she's still to this day praying for that. But one cannot be what they are not. One can have their fixed mood, and then they can have, we call it sanchari bhavs. So you have the ocean, and then you have waves on the ocean. So all of these different moods might be there, but one should definitely become under the guidance of Sri Guru, who can give you or awaken within you your direct intention, attention, one's goal, one's aspiration. And then you will be clear. You won't have to think like this or that. You know, it's like once one is engaged, they don't have to be looking around, oh, with this one, who does it, you know, which one is for me? You're engaged, your mind is fixed. You don't have to think about all of these other things. When one is fixed on their particular goal, and everything else can be pushed to the side. So Srila Gurudev, and I'm using this term, push to the side, this is the meaning of exclusive. You're excluding something so that you can become one-pointed or focused. It's not considered disrespectful, it's just, I need to attain this. So, how far did we get? Okay, so time has been called. We actually got 3/4 down page. That's pretty good. And this subject matter is very essential. Srila Gurudev did focus a lot of energy on it. He did present it within Param Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Keshav Goswami Mahārāja's biography, Acharya Keshari, the life and teachings of Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Mahārāja. He would read, or have Shamarani Didi or anyone read from our Srila Prabhupada's purports and translations of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita on this particular subject, and then he would go into it very deeply and emphasize these points. He wanted us to be very clear that our Svarup is not something that is given from outside, like we're all some blobs of jelly and then something impregnates it with, oh, you are now a cowherd-boy, you are now a gopi, you are this, you are that. We are what we are. And whatever we are, in essence, that is our perfection. What I'm saying, whatever we are, it is in potential right now, in potentiality. As a seed of any fruit tree is full of the potential to manifest that fruit tree and the fruits that manifest from that fruit tree. It's a potentiality. But that apple seed does not have the potential to become an orange tree or a plum tree. Its potential is to become an apple tree. And so for us, who have come to this line of Rupanuga, Vaishnavas, our potentiality is to become Rupanuga. And this is our hope, this is our aspiration, this is our prayers, this is our goal, the goal of our chanting, the goal of our mantras, the goal of our sadhan, bhajan, vrats, everything, to somehow or other attain the mercy, the shelter, and the dust of the lotus feet of Sri Rupa. And that comes via taking shelter of Sri Guru and those Vaishnavas in that line who can nourish that mood. So we will stop here. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Yes, ask more questions, but later. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, For being with us today and giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Gurudev and Guru Varga. If you had questions, please save those questions and copy them, and then tomorrow post them. Also, I'd like to post them on the thread so we can discuss them, because we are discussing this subject. Also, I would like to express our deep indebtedness to each and every one of you for daily giving us the opportunity to follow the order of our Srila Gurudev, which is our life and soul. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radha Vinu Bihari Ju Sachinandana
Gaurahari ki jai. Chivriyama Domani. Hasta mañana. Kal milenge. Radhe